G'day Australia. Just continuing my deposition allegations, crime and corruption in Australia by the Australian government, state and federal, Liberal and Labor. So my story is federal court over family matter, 2010. First time in court, the court's consultant just lied, perjuried. Accused me of extreme domestic violence when there was never any domestic violence. I proved that 4 years later. My ex admitted to a psychologist on record there was never any domestic violence. So you got Legal Aid Queensland just with the ICL, child's lawyer, just lying through the whole process. My son's from 1 year old, his prime attachment was with me. He just hung on to me and even cried when he seen his mother, so I proved that, got that on tape, got that on a record. So the court's completely corrupt. State, federal, Liberal, Labor parties corrupt, wrote to them many times the last 14 years. Anything you do in court, they're rigged it completely against the working class people. Labor Party represents lawyers. Labor Party has been taken over by corrupt lawyers 50 years ago. They designed family court to exploit kids in secret, to hold kids for ransom, bankrupt families. It's all about lawyers getting rich. They call it, the lawyers call it wealth redistribution from the working class to them, the criminal class. And the Australian government's completely corrupt. They're not even complicit. The Prime Minister's past and present, Attorney General's past and present, they're responsible. It's called responsible government under the Cabinet. And the executive government takes advice from the Cabinet. And the judiciary, Chapter 3, arse end of government, where all the shit goes, psychopaths, sociopaths and pedophiles. They have separate powers of responsibility. So you've got the judiciary, have their separate powers of responsibility. Same with the executive, they have powers of responsibility to execute the laws of the Commonwealth of Australia. Commonwealth being Commonwealth being the most important word in existence. So it all comes back to the Attorney General. Any crime and corruption is the Attorney General, because he heads up the Department of Justice in the Cabinet. So the Cabinet's formed the government after they're elected. The ACE are corrupt. They're refusing to register new minor parties. Just as detailed before, they went from 500 and now they changed to 1,500 members for a new political party. They're only allowing the new political party to submit 1,650. Before it was 550 of their members, and then they're just saying a certain number are invalid, and they're refusing to register new parties, so to maintain their duopoly. Duopoly? Is that the right word? So yeah, unless people wake up and do their depositions of corruption like I'm trying to do. I did a deposition for Stephen Andrew of the One Nation Party. Obviously the Senators Pauline Hanson and Malcolm Roberts just ignored my deposition, given it to many years, written to many times over the years. So they're really not doing anything. They're not doing the job they're paid for. But Stephen Andrew did approach the Attorney General and on my behalf, and he was trying to organise for me to actually have a voice in Parliament, speak in Parliament regarding the crime and corruption of the Queensland government and the federal government doing against my son and I. And so now I've had the child support people. They've obviously been taking money in my pay for years, and the government's been taking tax out of my pay as well, like 40%. And then child support actually took $3,000 out of my bank account without asking, tell me why or anything. No receipt, no paperwork. So they're just exploiting kids, stealing. I get no contact with my son at all. Well, I get court ordered. I get 8 hours supervised contact one Sunday every second month. That works out to be 2 days a year, supervised contact in a detention cell. So basically based on the court's false allegations of domestic violence and their false fraudulent assertion that the primary attachment was with the mother. The thing was, it wasn't with the mother, so it's called parental alienation. They make sure that the child doesn't get contact with usually the father, but we've got lots of mothers and grandparents and grandmothers in our social media groups, mainly Facebook, whatever. So yeah, the Australian government's completely corrupt, and there's the death toll, family court death toll is around running between 3 and 7 people a day. So they keep going on, ALP pushing this stop domestic violence against women, but Commonwealth Australia means the Commonwealth being they should be stopping all domestic violence. And you'll see that the ALP never talk about domestic violence against children, because most infanticide is, again, children is by women. Domestic violence against in Australia runs about 50-50. I think it's 49% against men and 51% against women. So it's pretty even. But again, infanticide, that's over 50% is by women. So they never ever mention domestic violence against children. So it's completely fraud. It's fraudulent. It's completely psycho. There's a lawyer in Europe at the moment on a murder spree. Lawyer, psychopath, criminal psychopath named Vladimir Putin. But Ted Bundy, another lawyer, psychopath, murder spree. And that's what they are. 1% of the population are psychopaths, or psychopaths are narcissists, so criminal psychopaths probably a large proportion. So that's about 70 million narcissistic psychopaths in the world, and most of them in the government. And once they get into government, they just start committing crimes against people. And that's what the Australian government, Albanese and all these previous prime ministers are doing. Started with Julia Gillard. I wrote to Julia Gillard's office about it and detailed with evidence all the crimes and corruption, and they just ignored it, obviously, and they do. And senators and attorney generals, they just don't even reply. So with Stephen Andrews, I flew into Queensland to deliver my deposition to the Queensland Parliament regarding crimes and corruptions against us. Of course, everyone knows that the Labor Party were having a referendum about having Aboriginals having a voice in Parliament, but they refused to allow me to have my voice in Parliament. And but one of the Attorney General's staffers, I think Simon, I can't remember his last name, did call me, and I sent him my evidence and that to him. Thanks to Stephen Andrew, he organised that. But obviously that was 2-3 weeks ago. Nothing's happened yet so far, so we'll see what happens. But my mother passed away in 2020. These lawyers are just basically committed perjury, stolen documents, committed all these crimes. So even after writing to the Legal Service Commission, Human Rights Commission, and the Crimes and Corruption Commission in Queensland, got no response. Well, no, they just lie. Crimes and Corruption Commission, write back to you once a year. It's been going on 4 years, and just saying, well, it's not a crime. All these perjury is not a crime, but it is. And all these crimes, and that's how they're covering it up. The federal police doing the same thing about crime and corruption. And so, yeah, you've got to understand that I'm giving my deposition, and these crimes against us are real, and they're serious crimes by the government. We live in a Commonwealth of Australia, Commonwealth being, so everyone should be equal. Under the Constitution, Clause 5, that states the equality under the rule of law. Section 51 of the Constitution, the government can make laws for peaceful and good government, and Clause 5 is everyone is held accountable, including courts, under rule of law. But we're not getting that. We're getting complete corruption in the courts by the judiciary. The Attorney General should be removing corrupt judges under the Constitution. I think it's Section 72. It's 72 or 62. Anyway, in Queensland. It's section 61 of their Queensland Constitution. So that's what we're trying to do, is get the actual government, the Attorney Generals in particular, to do their duty. It's all about duty. Duty care to us and children and families, but the Labor Party is exploiting children and families, extorting families for 50 years in their family court. So it's serious. They're killing people, 37 people a day. People just need to know that this is happening and it's real. Mainstream media have been covering it up. So you got feminism pretending it's something new. It goes back 300 years or more. The reign of terror. The feminists are there, socialists, communists again, and monarchists, of course. But human rights and our Constitution and the American Constitution all comes from Magna Carta. It's lawful rebellion. It's in the first paragraph. So people need to think that, the Australian government's completely corrupt. It's gone communist. It's just gone psycho. And all this psycho crap they're going on about. It's all diversion with the global warming, so it doesn't, I don't care, the government shouldn't care what sort of car people drive, it's electric or diesel or whatever, that's a personal choice. So they're going on with all this diversion tactics, but the real thing is they're exploiting kids and killing people in Australia. The government's been taken over by corrupt lawyers, and you got to wake up, you got to understand that this is really happening. And it's been happening for 50 years. And unless more people stand up and do their deposition, get on social media, do a video. I want to see more people. Plenty of people talk to me about it in the same situation. Dads all over the place have had their kids stolen, the houses stolen. I was talking to the neighbour, and same thing happened to him. But nobody hears about it because the mainstream media are not dealing with it. Journalists won't even talk to you. So I've sent heaps of emails to Current Affairs, 60 Minutes, here's the evidence, this is corruption, this is what they're doing. But mainstream media, or corporate media, you get nothing back from them. No coverage, a little bit maybe, I don't know. But anyway, just start, organising, get your own political parties going. Just don't trust the Liberal and Labor Party, and even though One Nation's done a little bit, they're really not. They dropped the ball. They're not covering the corruption, courts, state and federal. So that's what I'm trying to get them to do. I mean, it's good that Stephen Andrew did something, but the thing is, that's his job, is to represent the concerns of the constituents in the Parliament. The thing that I had to fly back into Brisbane and Queensland to do that, obviously I was blocked by the Labor Party, but that's pretty much Stephen Andrew's job, is to stand up and express our concerns for the corruption in the Parliament. But same with all of them. Liberal Party, they just ignored me for years. I was in the Liberal Party electorate, and they, in Surfers Paradise, they just ignored all the crime and corruption until they got offended, and then they sent SWAT around to fucking charge me for just getting pissed off at them. That was on my son's 50th birthday, by the way. They deliberately, the lawyers do everything they can to piss you off, and they trigger you, trying to get you to bite and fight back, stand up, and they use that in court against you, obviously. So they're committing all these crimes against you, and they're doing everything they can for you to react, so they can use it against you. So don't trust the Liberal Party. We waited for the Liberal Party to come into power to, hopefully they'll do something. But you never see the Liberal Party do anything libertarian. And they represent banking cartels, obviously. And they want to keep you in debt. And the Labor Party, they represent lawyers. And they want to keep you tax payroll tax. It's killing manufacturing in Australia. If you're manufacturing in Australia, you just got to stop taxing manufacturers. Manufacturers should be tax exempt, especially doing exports, prime exports. It's what's bringing money into the country. But Liberal Party, Labor Party, just working off taxes from the working class people, and they're destroying working class lives, people's lives, destroying kids and doing all this crazy stuff. And in Queensland at the moment, it's just going on and on about the kids running wild in the streets, which because the families have been destroyed by the government. But yeah. Anyway, Australia. So yeah, stop voting Liberal and Labor, for God's sake, for our sake. You stop taxing us, stop ripping us off, stop exploiting our kids. Payroll tax. Nobody should be paying payroll tax or personal tax. Personal tax was brought in to pay for World War I in 1916, and they're still doing it. And it's destroyed manufacturing in Australia. And manufacturing is the only thing that protects us from communist China. We can't compete because of the taxes. So it's the greatest threat to Australia is the Liberal Party and Labor Party, especially the personal tax and payroll tax. And yeah, wake up. Thanks, Australia. Bye.